Welcome to this episode of Legends of the Outdoors TV. I'm sitting here with a great friend of mine, a lady that I've known pretty much all my life. Grew up in the same community in Buchanan, Tennessee, and she's known as the First Lady of Hunting. Brenda, welcome to the show. I'm sitting here with Brenda Valentine, and folks, let me tell you, this is one of the most beautiful places in West Tennessee.
5 a.m. can't come soon enough for folks like these. There's more than just a job to do, so they hit their knees. They sure take pride in everything they do. There's no challenge that they won't work through. So they tirelessly keep going on. They work their fingers to the bone. Spend way too much time in the field and away from home. You can be sure they know what all this hard work is for. So now we honor you as legends, legends of the outdoors.
Brenda, you've created this farm, you and your husband Barney, and tell us a little bit about what you got going on here.
Well, I've devoted this farm totally to the benefit of wildlife. I've tried to improve habitat. We work at it year-round. It's not just a hunting season farm. This is an annual, yearly, everyday project where we try to enhance the habitat. We like to think that we're gamekeepers. We model a lot after the Mossy Oak Gamekeeper program and create not only food sources but places for all the animals to raise their young, to thrive here. We want them to feel comfortable here, and yes, we are hunters, and yes, we do take a few select animals off here, but more than that, we try to provide for the needs of not only our deer and our turkey, but our rabbits and our squirrels and our songbirds and our honeybees and all things, all creatures that come here. I'm fortunate to have a year-round spring-fed creek on it, so there's always access of water. And a few years ago, I timbered some unproductive land and made it into a sanctuary where it just grows up natural, and it provides lots of cover, lots of browse, lots of nesting places, a place for animals to escape, to hide, to feel comfortable. And out here to our right is a 25-acre field of CRP, and it was planted in native grasses, which makes ground nesters such as our turkey and hopefully quail someday have a secure place to raise their young. And there's always lots of rabbits in there. And it also is planted in pollinators, which attracts our honeybees and hummingbirds and all of the things that we need for pollinating, which, you know, we'd be in bad shape if it wasn't for the pollinators. So it's a labor of love. We, like I say, there's something to be done all the time. In February, we do prescribed burns. We clean up a lot of the old invasive species that tend to want to take over, and it's just, we cut out a lot of non-mast bearing trees so that we have more persimmon and acorn and beech and trees that produce food for this wildlife that we're hoping to, we're not protecting it, we're hoping we just enhance it.
Enhancing it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's been my project for several years now. You know, all those years I traveled hunting all over the world and had experiences that I couldn't tell in the rest of my lifetime. But for now, I'm very comfortable here at home, watching wildlife, hunting wildlife, and enjoying seeing them thrive here on my own farm.
Well, you've definitely created a great paradise, you and Barney, and you've created also a legacy for your children and grandchildren to have a place to come and hunt and participate in the outdoor sports that we all love so much. And I know your whole family pretty much hunts and fishes.
We do.
This portion of Legends of the Outdoors is brought to you by Woodhaven Custom Calls, America's best turkey and deer calls. Game Hide, one brand, every season. St. James, Missouri Chamber of Commerce, here to promote our local economy.
But Brenda, I want to step back in time just for a few minutes because, you know, your history of your career and how you got started and where we both came from in Buchanan, Tennessee, growing up in a tight-knit, small community. You know, I know we probably didn't realize how poor we were growing up, and I'm not trying to get anybody to feel sorry for us because we both had a wonderful life, but we did come from very humble beginnings, you and I, but fishing and hunting wasn't just games to us. And tell the folks a little bit about, you know, how you come up and how you kind of got started into your career, because I think that's very interesting, and it's a great tribute to the lady that become the First Lady of Hunting.
I grew up in a house that was not nearly this good, and that's one reason I leave this old home on this farm. It reminds me of where I came from, you know, and how good life has been for me. But yes, we grew up, the house that I lived in, the nearest neighbor was, I don't know, a mile and a half, 2 miles away. It was at a dead-end road. There was no neighbors and just a little gravel one-lane rut with grass growed up in the middle of it. The school bus did come to pick us up, and you rode that school bus. But the mail didn't come down there, and when school was out, we didn't see people until school started back again. But hunting and fishing was our means of, it's what we did for food, it's what we did for our recreation, it was our way of life, that's all we knew. And so at an early age, you know, I was squirrel hunting. There wasn't big game back then. We didn't have a deer season, we didn't have turkey, but we had a lot of coons and possums and squirrels and rabbits, and we made good use of that. And there was always somebody's old pond to fish in, and we are fortunate we lived down here close to Kentucky Lake, Tennessee River, and I didn't know anything about this fancy bass fishing like some people I know, but we did trot lines and we did jugs and we had cane poles and bobbers and worms, and we ate well. So this is the life that I came from. My dad was probably the best hunter I've ever been around, and I've been around a lot, but his was just natural. And I'm not saying that nobody else's is, but he grew up doing it to feed the family, and we always had lots of dogs. Dogs were just part of our environment, but he could train a dog. And we've often said he could make a collie tree a coon, and he just had a knack. Like, I've always been told that I have a knack with horses. He had a knack with dogs, and he could just take any old trade yard dog and make a good hunting dog out of it. So to supplement the family income, he trained dogs, and he would take outside dogs that belonged to other people that wanted their dogs trained. And we lived in a place where they didn't stay in a kennel. You know, a dog, he could run and work anytime he wanted to because of the environment. We were just surrounded by fields and woods and stuff. So hunting was just who we were. You know, how many little girls today can skin a squirrel by the time they start to school? Well, you know, we had our own pocket knife, and we had an old .22 and a single-shot shotgun, and it was nothing to go kill a big mess of squirrels before breakfast, skin them and have them fried for breakfast in the mornings. And we didn't know everybody didn't live like that. So I never got any formal training, I guess. You can't go to school and learn these kinds of things. You have to be exposed to it, and thankfully I was exposed to it from day one. I've always said that the best thing my parents ever did was raise me poor, because that give me a work ethic. It also made me appreciate every little thing that has come my way. And you know, if people that are privileged, they may not just appreciate the things that I do, the opportunities that I've had. When I was older, Tennessee started a archery season, and I was already hunting and taking all the deer that the law would allow me to take. But then we got an archery season, and I thought, oh wow, if I could just shoot a bow and arrow, I could kill another deer.
This portion of Legends of the Outdoors is brought to you by Knox County Whitetails, where you come as a client and leave as a friend. CVA, it's just a better gun. RBX Transportation, be a name, not a number.
So I went out here when we had our Uncle Lee's store and bought a bow and some arrows and proceeded to do that with a passion. It just consumed me. You know, I couldn't lay it down. I lost a lot of arrows, bent a lot of arrows, shot holes in trucks and through the walls and everything, learning. But I got proficient. I'll say that. Got to where I felt comfortable to go hunting with it that first year and killed a deer that first year. And it became a career. I was picked up by a bow company, and next thing you know, they've sent me on a circuit shooting tournaments everywhere. And I say that the bow and arrow is actually what got me into the hunting industry. People noticed when I was from my shooting, and from being noticed, then they also realized she could hunt. And so maybe I didn't grow up hunting Cape buffalo and elands and stuff of all, things
Stuff we didn't have
we
here.
don't know, that I didn't
Right,
even know what they
right.
were till I opened a book and read about them.
Right.
But it prepared me. When you have the game sense to stalk, to read sign, the woodsmanship, you can hunt anything, anywhere.
I agree.
You've got to have and I loosely use the term predator, but all humans are predators. Our eyes are in the front of our head, and prey animals are on the side of their head. So like hawks, like wolves, like any predator, mankind is the top predator.
Right.
So I share this with some of the groups that I speak to, but as far as being a hunter, I've always felt like that when God created Earth, that every person was given a gift or a job, and maybe some people were given the gift of healing. They became doctors. Some were given the gift of creating building. Maybe they are carpenters. We have painters, healing, some of our nurses, teachers. But I also think that a group of people were given the gift of providing for all of these other people that did these important jobs. And I felt like my gift was being able to bring home the meat to feed the teachers and the nurses and the doctors and the builders and all of that. And if people that find their gift and use it are the happiest. So
Yeah, you're right.
if my gift was to bring home a pile of meat, then that made me happy, and I was also gifted for that.
Right.
Just like you're gifted to catch a lot of crappie or to teach kids how to fish, how to bass fish or whatever. Everybody has gifts, and those of us that are lucky have more than one. I love it when I find these little gifts that were left here for me. This is a little secondary feather of a wild turkey, but one reason they're here is the forethought that I put into a lot of this. You see my oak trees here? I've got many varieties from the Mossy Oak Native Nurseries. Some of them are bur oaks, some of them are white oaks. I've got oaks that produce different size nuts for the different size animals, and some of those little small acorns are a turkey's favorite. I also put in a lot of fruit trees. You can see these apple trees. We don't eat that many apples, but the deer love them, and so does a lot of other things. I've seen squirrels running across with an apple in their mouth, and we put clover in. The rabbits love that. But this is just one of the things that I've done to create better habitat for all the wildlife here.
But, you know, to get to do the things that you and I get to do, we're the lucky ones, because of all the other people that have to work a 9-to-5 job and can only get out on the weekends and go fishing on Kentucky Lake. And you and I can pick and choose what days we want to go and pretty much when we want to go. And that's lucky, you know.
It is.
We worked hard to get here, but we're very lucky. Hey folks, let me tell you about a product that I use all the time, 80 Below Sporting Oil. I use this on my rods, my reels, my fishing line, my shotguns, my rifles, and hey, you can even use it on a squeaky car door if you want to. Jeff Milam, the owner of 80 Below, is here with me today. Jeff, tell us a little bit about the oil.
We developed 80 Below just because we're going to Canada hunting in really cold conditions, but it's an all-climate lubricant you can use for just about anything you want to. We love it on guns. That's what I use it for. I'm a waterfowl hunter.
This portion of Legends of the Outdoors is brought to you by Black Widow Innovations. Tough, accurate, deadly. Scott Archery, CBE, Ultra Arrows.
Hey Legends of the Outdoors fans, this is Henry County Mayor John Penn Ridgway, and I'm out here today on beautiful Kentucky Lake with my friends Mary Mabel, Presley, and Knox. We want to invite you to come to Henry County. Not only do we have hunting, fishing, and all the other great things, beautiful Kentucky Lake is one of the best places to wakeboard and ski in the South. We invite you to come up to Paris Landing, to come to this area. We look forward to seeing you here in Paris Landing soon. Come on to Henry County.
Hey, welcome back to the Legends of the Outdoors, and we're here with Brenda Valentine. And Brenda, you know, talking about where we grew up and your career getting started and everything, but later on in your career, you become the national spokesperson for the National Wild Turkey Federation.
Yes, I did.
Which I'm sure that was a great honor. And tell us a little bit about that and how that come about.
I don't know how it come about, actually, but I was for 13 years. I hosted a couple of their TV shows. They had one on gamekeeping and one on hunting, and I was fortunate to host both of those. And I had one of the longest running columns. I wrote a column every issue for 13 years and was never late on the deadlines. But mostly I traveled. I went to chapters all over the United States and spoke to members. I taught classes at a lot of the Women in the Outdoors. I helped with their wounded veterans hunts. I guided lots and lots of wounded veterans. Took a lot of the children, special needs children, on their hunts, and so it was a very busy job that I did. It wasn't just a title. One of the most memorable things that I ever did was in 2012. I was asked to go to Afghanistan and speak to a lot of the special forces groups that were over there and had been over there. And the reason being for that is most of those guys were hunters and fishermen, you know, from the U.S. that had been over there with very little contact with anybody that could speak the language, you know, that could talk to them about guns and bows and hunting and fishing and all of the things that we love. So Jim Shockey and Bill Miller, which is coming up a new inductee and a wonderful man, we went and spent a few weeks over there going into, and this was actually a covert mission. We did not carry cameramen or any of that stuff. And no one, not even us, or I'm sure someone knew, but we never knew who knew. But each day, Black Hawk would pick us up out of whatever camp we were in, fly over the barricades and the sniper walls and take us into a forward camp. So I felt like I was really amounting to something. I was doing good because those guys and ladies, there was several lady Marines that I met, they were genuinely happy to have someone from home that spoke their language, that could relay to them the latest hunting stories. And just an interesting side note, my luggage got lost in Kyrgyzstan, and I arrived with a backpack with 3 American flags that the AMVETS Club had sent with me and a turkey call. I would go into one of the Special Forces camps and yammer a little bit on my slate call, and the next thing I knew, ears were perking up, and all these good old boys from Mississippi and Georgia and Kentucky and everywhere, they were gathered around and they said, "Oh, that is music to my ears just to hear a turkey call." And even today, as long as that's been 12, 13 years ago, I have some of those are Facebook friends, some of the people that I met while I was over there that we may have only spent one day together,
Right.
but we became lifelong contacts and friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode with Miss Brenda Valentine, the First Lady of Hunting. God bless you, great hunting, and be safe out there. Until next time, we'll see you on Legends of the Outdoors TV.
So now we honor you as legends of the outdoors.